How's it going, guys? Welcome to another lesson from my acoustic lead guitar course, which is totally for free here on YouTube, and we've got bonus materials and things like that, ebooks, backing tracks, all on the website. The link's in the description to see the rest of this course. In this video, we're looking at how to play scales, and a few scales actually, on just one string. Now, this is so important and is so overlooked by many guitarists. When we're learning scales, we typically learn scales in positions. So position 1 of the major scale, for example, which was something we covered earlier in this course. That is actually covered in lesson 1 of this free course on YouTube. The playlist is in the links in the top corner to that. But what we're looking at is how to do exactly that, just on one string. And now this is going to be very easy to physically do for the most part, because we're just going to start from the open string. But what this does is allows us to focus more on the intervals, and the intervals are something that becomes so important at the higher levels of learning guitar in general, never mind just lead guitar. All an interval is the distance between any two notes. So the distance between the open string and the second fret, for example, is a major second interval, or can just be known as a second interval. We're not going to get too much into the theory, but if you need a bit of background on that, it is in the ebook that accompanies this course. We're going to get straight on and actually look at the minor pentatonic scale on one string, just on the thickest string to begin with, because this is super easy. All we're going to play is the open thickest string, and then every fret that has a dot on it. If you have a guitar that's similar to mine, and we have a dot at 3rd fret, 5th, 7, 9, and the double dot is at 12th fret, which is why I'm using my Yamaha, not my 5th, because there's no dots on the front of that one. The only one that is different is the 9th fret, and that fret, I never quite know why this one has a dot on it, because logically, for this to work for every one of them, should actually be at 10th. So if we go through this together, we need to play the thickest open string, then play 3rd fret, which again should have a dot on it, so that's fairly straightforward. 5th fret also, 7th fret, which also has a dot, and then rather than the dotted 9th fret, we should play 10, and then the double dot. So that means we've played through the 5 notes of the minor pentatonic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the octave, which is the same note as the first note we started with, so that's essentially back to the 1 again. Scale tones wise, we're only going to go from the first one to the octave, and every time we get to an octave we're going to treat it as 1, at the very least for the purposes of this course, though that's typically what we do in general. So that is pretty easy and straightforward for most of you. What we're going to go straight on to now is how to do this with the major scale, which is what we've been looking at through the entirety of this course. So for example, if we were wanting to play a solo over a song which was in the key of E major, something that sounded perhaps like that, we could play it just on one string using the following notes. We would use the open fret, 2nd fret, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and finishing on 12th. Again, that is the octave. This is the major scale. Let me just play that for you one more time. As soon as I play it one after the other like that, you can hear that major scale sound, which is so different to the minor pentatonic. That minor pentatonic kind of sound. And again, I'll focus on why we're learning this on one string in a second. But one benefit is that we can actually now play on any string. So dependent on the key you were in, if you were in A, you could start on the open A string. Now you know those frets that I've just shouted out. You can play on any of those strings depending on what key you're in. But if we were in the key of E, we could also do this, of course, on the thinnest string, because that's tuned to the same note. Now playing that, it's not too easy to do quickly. you know, it's actually easier to play the major scale in kind of position 1 rather than jumping up on one string. It's that, and that is primarily why we learn scales in one position, just in one part of the neck, because it's easier to go up and down the notes that we know. But what this allows us to do is see these intervals and compare one scale to another. So what we're going to do now is compare those two scales and then do them in the patterns that we learnt earlier, which is what I did at the start of this video, did it in a 3-note pattern. We'll play this on the thinnest E string. So this would be, for example, if you have a song or backing track you want to improvise over in the key of E. One of those is available on the website. The link to that is in the description. We would play the E major scale starting with the open E string, then playing the 2nd fret, the 4th fret, the 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, 11th fret, and 12th fret. Now the open string, and then 4 and 5, are usually going to be the same in any scale that you learn, and it's the case in this case here with the minor pentatonic and the major scale, and even the major pentatonic, which is also covered in the next video of this course. The 3 notes that are always the same are the open, the 4th note, which is at 5th fret, and the 5th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which happens to be at 7th fret. Whether I play the major scale, there was the 4th note and the 5th note, or we always played fret 5 and fret 7. They are also the 2 scale tones that would make the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, which are the only major chords out of our diatonic chords in the key, in whatever key you happen to be in. It's always the 1, 4, and the 5. And to learn a bit more of that, you can check out my little music theory course. I will be doing more on that, providing a free ebook, doing some more work on that to help you guys out with it. I know it's a big topic at this kind of intermediate level that we're looking at here. But the biggest thing that I want to communicate in this lesson is just to make sure that when you learn a scale, learn the intervals of it as well. We'll have more on this interval idea coming, as I say, in the future. In this case, we've looked so much at the major scale, I just want to make sure you can play it on one string so you know what it actually is. It's the distance of these notes, and the distance between those notes in terms of the major scale is a whole tone between the open and 2nd fret. Between the 2nd fret and 4th fret, it's another whole tone, or a whole step. Between the next note, it's a semitone, so only 1 fret. It's a whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, semitone. So a whole tone is 2 frets, and a semitone is just 1 fret. It's the next fret to it. And therefore we have a pattern. Now I really like patterns because they make it really easy to remember things. And what we have a pattern of is a pattern of 2 and 3. That pattern of 2 and 3 is exactly the same as you would find on a piano. So when you're playing the C major scale and you start from middle C, when you play all the white keys going up, you pass 2 black notes and then 3 black notes. That is a pattern that is not only exclusive to guitar, that is a pattern in music. And I really want to communicate this idea that this pattern of 2 and 3, which is so visual on a piano, can be as visual on a guitar. We just need we need to see it from a certain angle, and it is not visual at all when we learn pattern 1, for example, of this major scales. Let me show you that pattern again. We have, remember, the pattern is 2 and then 3. 2 notes, 2 whole steps, then a semitone, 3 whole steps, then a semitone. So there's our first note, whole step, which is 2 frets. Open to 2nd, 2nd to 4th, so 1 whole step, 2 whole step, semitone. Whole step, whole step, whole step, semitone. That is the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this lesson. It's the essential music theory that you need to know about the major scale to understand everything from here. So much of this course I've tried to make as practical as possible to help you to physically play melodies and improvise kind of freely without thinking over major scale backing tracks and major scale songs. But the biggest thing that you need to take going forward is knowing why those fit together, and then when you come across a backing track that none of the stuff that you currently know is working, you can look at the chords underneath it and what's happening in the song, learn the song and see why it doesn't match. Primarily that is always going to be that the song that you learn is more based on the minor pentatonic scale. So you're playing this kind of idea in your melodies, and then the backing track or the riff is using chords that are based more on this minor pentatonic scale, and the frets aren't matching. The notes that you're playing aren't matching the backing track. That's what's happening. And if you want to learn more of the minor pentatonic style, so more of the that kind of jive, that is rock and a blues-based kind of licks. That is all in my Rock and Blues lead guitar course. This is a premium course and it's only available from andyguitar.co.uk. It's coming on download and stream and on a DVD. There's no book associated with it. We just got a PDF document that's kind of a guide through the videos, similar to this one. If you're interested in that, that would work great in conjunction with this course to really see the two sides of things, the more acoustic-y major scale stuff and then the rocky minor pentatonic stuff. But the minor pentatonic stuff is always more lick based, so we'll be focusing on improvising and lead guitar, but more with licks and techniques in that course. But if you haven't already, you absolutely need to get these backing tracks and start practicing over them in the correct key. So if it's in the key of G, you start with the G major scale. Now you could even do that just on one string to create your melodies, or do them in a pattern like we looked at previously. So I'll just cover quickly how to do that. The pattern that I played at the start was the pattern that we looked at in video 3 of this course. Going forward, 1, 2, 3, back 1, and then 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3. And in total, and of course you can use the 4-note pattern and really start to experiment at this level. If you're wanting to come up with your own lead lines, you should be able to apply a pattern that you learn, say, in one position, like the one we looked at. 3-note pattern that we looked at in lesson 3 in video 3 of this course. You should be able to apply that to a scale that you learn in another position or on one string like we've just done. Great, I'm really looking forward to your feedback on this course as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or get in touch via the website to let me know how you've done if you got this far into it. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy playing some lead guitar.